Neighbor Joe. Oh, money, neighbor, money, neighbor, money, money, neighbor, money, money. Now I know what you conniving, money, money, neighbor, money, neighbor, money, money, neighbor, money, money. You can keep your conniving, money. When you been a corrupt in a bill, tell me money. Now because your money done, you come with conniving money. When you had your pocket full, in a bill, tell me money. Now because your money done, you hustle for tell me money. Yes, money, neighbor, money, neighbor, money, money, neighbor, money, money. Now I don't want you conniving money. Neighbor, neighbor, joker, neighbor, neighbor, joker, neighbor, neighbor, joker. That's all the money that me walk for. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. This is all the money that me walk for. I said money, neighbor, money, neighbor, money, money, neighbor, money, money. Now I don't want you conniving money. Oh, Joseph.
welcome to another program of Buxtonian Morning Time. It is now 7 hours 24 and we are here to talk the things. Some people when they hear the Buxtonian Morning Time is on the run, they duck and hide. They hope that it didn't, when shots start firing, it ain't getting close to them. Some of them push their head in the sand like the proverbial ostrich and pretend that all is well around them and they have done no wrong. That should be highlighted. Some of them go to the Dharmic Sabha and they call on Lord Shiva or whatever their deities are. And they walk around and they speak quietly. You can hardly hear them. I would want to believe that this is an angel sent to serve the people of Guyana. But when you get deep down into the word work, you know that that is the depth of pretense and racism. Yes, they are quick to label us racist, but deep down in their hearts, they are the racists. They are the ones who believe in caste and caste. They are the ones who believe that the whiter they are, the lighter they are, and color the closer they are to God. And that if you're dark-skinned, you ought to be despised. Yeah. And we're going to continue to talk the thing. We're going to continue to analyze their psyche. We're going to give a lot of them psychological stress. Because this Guyana is for all of us. And we as Guyanese must all get together and fight evil. And in this Iowa, the evil that we are talking about is represented by the PPP. The PPP and the enablers, the Freddie Kissoons, and the big businesses on Regent Street and around Georgetown. And the pandits who become accountants at Monrepo's Market, the very pandit that organized protest in March of 2020. Y'all remember the protest that started at Monrepo's in March of 2020, Lusignan? Y'all remember the nurse's car was damaged while she was on her way home? Y'all remember that there was a man in the middle of the crowd there with a firearm? Well, y'all didn't recognize that the last protest they had at Monrepo's, there was a woman there with a firearm in her waist. And Brock Ben was happy to hug her up. Did he find out if she had a license for that firearm? Y'all recognize that missiles were pelted at Brock Ben while he was at Monrepo's, but nobody called them hooligans. He didn't call them hooligans, did he? Did anybody call them hooligans for pelting missiles at the black minister's head? No, nobody called them hooligans. Because they are straight. And some of them light-skinned. And so they're from the higher caste. I don't know if they're Chatris, but I know a lot of them are Chamars. But we're going to talk the thing this morning. We're going to talk about the wickedness in government. We're going to talk about a man who got $2 million for a 30-something-year-old bus. Can anybody say when last that man bought a license to that bus? Was the government and people of Guyana getting any revenue from that bus, the operation of that bus, regardless of what he was doing with it? Oh boy, there's so many things to talk. We will talk about them boxing people who went to the seawall side, expecting that they're going to get 70 pounds frozen banga too. Not under the sun. You don't look like the people who deserve 70 pounds of banga. A lot of them went there expecting $250,000 cash grant. Then him left with $25. I ain't beating them up. I'm using your stories to explain to you that this wicked and vindictive government, this crass government, has different standards for dealing with different people. And so in other communities, are deserving of a minimum of $250,000 and a whole rice bag full of ration. When it comes to Buxton to share hampers, the bags were way less than a rice bag. And since black people hungry belly and they rush the vehicle, we can drive with the vehicle and yelling and get nothing. What an embarrassment. What an embarrassment. And one of those who were chasing people, instructing people, demanding that people go to the Bargang instead of joining the protest line, I wonder how they felt. This is what I've exposed my people to. This is what I sent my people to be embarrassed, to be insulted. So what? So that I can get a good relationship with this wicked and corrupt government who pays me for doing nothing but organizing for them in the community among the blacks, recruiting young people to join in many teams and gangs. I wonder how they felt. It's Free Talk Friday. We're going to talk about these things as we always do. I wonder those who are always stretching their hands out to these goons, lackeys of the PPP, for a raise here and a raise there. I wonder if they realized that that a mouth is muzzled by the food it eats. I wonder if they realize that when you take people thing as filthy as it is, they expect to get something from you. And some of you therefore are selling your souls for the fruits of wickedness. And the good book says you must not partake in anything that has been offered to the idols, right? I want to interpret it that anything that has been ill-gotten, you ought not to partake in, because you will become just as guilty as the perpetrators of those wicked and inhumane acts. Share the live. Share the live. We ain't 700 yet. We're looking for 1,500 this morning. By the time this class finished today, a lot of people are going to bend their head in shame. Vinja Prasad morning, how are you doing? Minister of Human Services and Social Security, I think they say she is. But I understand the woman ain't got an ounce of humanity in her for black people. It's truth. There's usually a viewer who is a former worker on the live here. I wonder if she's on this morning. Zola Cameron, good morning. If you're live, call me. 6225933 is the number. Call me on WhatsApp. I want you to give me an in-depth understanding of Vinja Prasad. Because I can't believe this decent religious woman who heads a religious organization in this country, the Hindu Dharmic Sabha, can be as wicked and vindictive as people are describing her to me. I don't believe it. So I need imperative evidence. Y'all call me. Where's Roslyn? Roslyn, are you on the live? I understand Roslyn is living happily in the US, married and so on and so forth. Roslyn, call me. 6225933 is the number to call. WhatsApp. We want to hear firsthand. Is that... No, not that I mean calling yet. We want to hear firsthand how Vinja treats people. But what I know right now is that right there in that ministry, a lot of vindictiveness, a lot of discrimination is taking place. Long-serving workers are being marginalized. Long-serving workers are being marginalized. They're being superseded by people who have never ever worked in social work, by people who are not even qualified to work in social work, by people who don't even have a CXC qualification. They are being superseded over there at the Ministry of Human Services and Social Security, Child Care Protection Agency. Vinja Prasad is the minister over there, isn't that so? People are being forced out of their long-serving jobs so that friends and cronies of this wicked and vindictive set of people with Freedom House can be employed. Y'all know that? But the religious leader is there being religious. And so the story of the frog and the scorpion, is it? You said the scorpion said to the frog, take me over the river. Frog said, no, but you gonna sting me and kill me. And I'll do we gonna dead. Scorpion said, no man. I'm gonna sting you. And I know you got coming to the other side. You think I'm dead? And he convinced the frog to take him. And halfway in the journey, the scorpion did what the scorpion did best. Stung his tail. And while they were dying, while the frog was dying, turned to the scorpion and he said, Ma, you promise you're not going to sting me, buddy. Why you do though? He said, boy, I know I make the promise, but it is within my nature to sting. It is within my nature to sting. Snakes will bite, scorpions will sting. People who believe in caste and class will do just that. They will live caste and class. And so if you're the head of the Hindu Dharmic Sabha, as far as I understand, they say you can't be made a Hindu, you have to be born a Hindu. It therefore means you were birthed into Hinduism. You were nurtured in Hinduism. And therefore, the teachings of Hinduism would dictate perhaps your every decision. And so people who are aware of this ought not to be surprised. To hear that that beautiful woman who heads the Hindu Dharmic Sabha is racist, is biased, is vindictive, is discriminatory, is unbearable at the ministry which she heads. You know me, I like to tell y'all, I don't talk out the top of my head. Reports coming out from that ministry says several senior and junior staff resigned from the Ministry of Human Services, including the Director of Child Care and Protection Agency and the Director of Social Services. It is being alleged that the minister is dictatorial and practices nepotism and racism in the appointment of staff to fill certain positions. An example is the Deputy Director of Children's Services, who was appointed recently, has never worked within child protection or the ministry. At the same time, a Deputy Director of Social Services was appointed, who has a degree in geography and absolutely no experience whatsoever in social work. But where did that person come from? A member of the Dharmic Sabha. Both of those appointments superseded qualified and experienced people within both sections of the ministry. It is also alleged that both directorial positions are intended to be occupied by Indo-Guyanese with no experience in the field. It is currently being rumored that some folks who resigned from the ministry because of the behavior of this head of the ministry are currently being harassed and threatened and have been blacklisted from being employed elsewhere. The other day I talked to a former colleague of mine who worked in the field of journalism. He was an editor at DPI when I worked there. And he too said he was blacklisted by the government. So he's not getting any opportunity to work in the public sector. They blacklisted him. And of course he's not going to get employed by the friends of the government, because they too are carrying the government's mantra. Over at the Ministry of Human Services there, hear the name Human Services, but there's no humanity over there. People are afraid to speak up lest they be victimized. For the slightest of things, people are receiving letters so that they can fill up their files, their personnel file, with complaints and letters of warning and so on, and frustrate them to leave the job. Or eventually fire them on the basis of all of these letters that they're issuing willy-nilly. And every time you see somebody leaves, who replaces them? A friend of the permanent secretary, or someone recommended by the political head of the ministry. Right? I understand that currently there are lots and lots of vacancies for senior officers, senior positions, senior management positions in that ministry. And they're not being advertised internally because they're trying to prevent Afro-Guyanese who are on the job and qualified and experienced from getting those positions. It's Friday, we're talking the thing. It is 20 minutes to the 8 o'clock hour. So the head of the Ministry of Human Services has no humanity in her, despite she is a leading religious leader in this society. But like I said, scorpions will sting. That's their nature. Snakes will bite. That's their nature. And as we continue to talk about what's happening over there at that ministry in terms of employment, this morning is an employment morning, it would seem. You know that I know, and we all know, that there's no public service commission right now in this country, right? None whatsoever. And that is why the current police service commission is illegal. It's unconstitutional. Because according to the Constitution, the police service commission has to be made up of what? 5 persons? But integral to its constitution, its proper constitution, is the presence of the chairman of the Public Service Commission. And so you can't have a police service commission if you don't have a chairman of a public service commission. And so since there's no chairman of the Public Service Commission, it means that those 4 people were masquerading as the police service commission are doing just that. They're masqueraders. And so when they issue that promotion list, that I see Butas is saying is just and fair and so on, and it would affect, it has affected morale of the police and so on, because everybody is happy wearing a new badge of rank and so on. That thing is as worthless. That thing is as worthless as a $1 coin in the Guyanese society right now. Because it has no use. Until the Police Service Commission is properly constituted, all of those promotions should be challenged in court. Every single one of them. Every single act of those 4 people masquerading there as the Police Service Commission should be challenged in court. Guyanese have to learn to go to the court more often. And not only is the absence of the Public Service Commission affecting what is happening over at the Police Service Commission, but it is also affecting what is happening to Guyanese who are desirous of working in the public service. Because what has effectively happened is, since there is no Public Service Commission to do hiring, Dottie Parag, y'all know the person? Yeah, I like to call him by the right name, Dottie Parag. Those who like to bring hardships on people. And our clique is responsible for hiring. At least they have taken on the job of hiring. Right? They will take on the job, they have taken on the job of hiring. And so they're hiring people on contract. And who are the people being hired? Predominantly Yes, you guess it right. They don't look like me. Share the live. Share the live. What's wrong with y'all this morning? Share the live. We're not even at 800 yet. So long I've been talking. Share the live. I ain't telling y'all nothing else. I vex. Me ain't gonna listen to you. I vex. That's how you talk to the Dunstock president. And make him beg. But you gotta listen to me too. Like a little sissy. It's Free Talk Friday. I like to talk my mind on some Fridays, you know. Yes! Share the live. When we get up to 800, I'm going to continue talking. What y'all doing? Each person should be sharing 20 times right now. Share the live. Please and thanks. Share the live. Y'all selfish, you know? Y'all don't like other people hear the story and the juicy parts of the story. Come on. Share the live. So we talking. So hiring is now in the bosom of Dirty Parag and our colleagues, our clique. What are they doing? I am sure it's against the law to ask people to submit photographs when they apply for jobs. Because submitting photographs will help you to determine their ethnicity. And that is exactly what these nasty people over the Public Service Ministry are doing. They're asking for photographs of applicants. People who are applying for work through the Public Service Ministry are now asked to submit photographs. And so when they look at the photograph, they say, this one look like we. We're going to take this one. Nah, that one, it look like we. I said we and I are in the one. And that is exactly what is happening over the Public Service Ministry. And it's not the Deputy PS was the person running things. Despite the fact that there is a permanent secretary over there. I wonder if she still is. What's her name? She was appointed under the coalition government. But some people were whispering that she is one of them. I don't know. I've never judged her. But I understand she remains on the job as permanent secretary. And the PPP appointed the deputy permanent secretary. And she is like a rubber stamp onto the deputy permanent secretary. Right? I'm just bringing you the information. You can be the judge, jury, and executioner. I'm just telling you as it is. So here it is. We have the the Public Service Commission. Public Service Ministry, that is PSM, in the absence of the Public Service Commission, hiring people, and they're hiring them on contract because of the absence of the Public Service Commission. But in order to get hired, you must submit with your application a photograph of who you are. You good looking? Is the kind of girl that the Deputy Permanent Secretary would fall in love with? You got hair like them? You look like one of them? Or you're too dark-skinned? That is what is happening in our country. Believe it or not. Believe it or not. Understand that there are hundreds of public service vacancies that they're not advertising. They're not advertising them because they're handpicking their own people to fill those vacancies in this dear land of ours. Share the life. Share the life, because I'm going to tell you something about the Ghana police force now. Share the life. That disgraced institution that is supposed to be upholding the rule of law in this country, but breaking it left, right, and center. Not like you didn't expect it. Like I said, scorpions sting, snakes bite. That is what they do. That is what is within their nature. So if you take a man who has been accused of all kinds of human rights violations, etc., etc., and appoint him acting commissioner, what do you expect? Except violations. Share the life. Let's get to $800, $800 a man. Like I got money on my mind. Money is always on my mind. Share. Yes, I got money on my mind. I always study where I'm making my money from. You sit down here, you doing this program for 3 hours. When you get up, where you making your money from? The government wants to know that. Where am I earning from? How do I earn? How do I eat? I thought the government ain't concerned itself with those things. They only wanted to know you're dead. Right? That's what they say. Government only want to know when you're dead, why you're dead, how you're dead, who done it. But in this instance, your government want to know how I living. Oh, yeah. Lisa Rose boxing enough unemployed people. Use the program to highlight these issues too. Let's focus on development of the community. I'm sure our ancestors didn't sit and constantly talk about the slave masters. Instead, they found ways to get their freedom. The people were affected with what PPP do and let them get up and fight back. I've never seen or heard Patrick Yard, who's supposed to be the leader, addressing those issues. Black people are failing themselves. Again, if I'm not highlighting these issues, I don't know what I'm doing. Remember, every man kisses his wife differently. Right? I heard a... Don't let me show you that one thought. Every man kisses his wife differently. And I choose to highlight the plight of our people differently. And I think I do highlight the plight of our people. Not so long ago, I jumped into my car and I drove the length and breadth of Buxton to show what the roads are like. Ever so often, I talk about the lack of services in Buxton, and not only Buxton, but other Afro-Guyanese communities. So yes, Lisa Rose, I think I'm doing that. I think I'm doing that. Unemployment, I think I have just been addressing the issue of unemployment and discrimination in employment, right? But like I said, this is an employment morning. And so let me tell you that in Boris, the qualified, trained and experienced teachers are complaining that in a school, or in several schools as a matter of fact, Marlene Thomas says some don't kids at all. Yes, some don't kids at all. There are schools in Boris with a full complement of staff, number one, all trained and qualified. But in order to uphold its end of the bargain, or to keep its fair promise to the citizens that they're going to give them, 40 hours of work a month for $40,000? Something like that? The schools are now complaining that these folks have been overcrowding their schools with unqualified persons, uncertified persons. Oh, you want to be a teacher? You don't have qualification, you're not certified, go to that school. Go to that school, man. Because we promise you work. And so we will keep our bargain that you're going to get 40 hours of work. Right? That's what they're doing in Region 5. There are 7,000 persons in Region 5 who are temporarily employed by this administration. 7,000! At a particular nursery school, the school has 10 staff, 10 trained and competent staff. They sent 15 persons to attach them to that school. 15 persons, time and a half the staff of the school. So you got 1.5 times the number of unqualified people there compared to the qualified. They're going to be making a mess of people's lives and people's children's lives. 7,000 they employed temporarily in Borbison Region 5. People are entitled to employment. People got work. People have to eat. They have bills to pay. But when idiocy is happening, you have to call it out for that, what it is. This is idiotic. Right? They still have teachers being record keepers, teachers being typists, teachers being accountants, teachers being procurement officers. Why not employ people to do those jobs and leave the teachers alone to do teaching? Why not? This caller can't wait. I guess it's bubbling in her soul. It's boiling over, so she can't wait. Caller, good morning.
Thank you very, very much for all the dedication, the spirit of the will to educate the people, your people, the people of Buxton and the surrounding communities. I was appalled to see the condition that the people of Buxton is living in 2022. And steps away from Buxton, the roads are done in its most precise and modern fashion. Now, who wants to tell me that that is not racism? Who wants to tell me that? Now, my question to you and the people of Guyana, the people in the diaspora, what are you prepared to do to correct the situation where there is blatant, the entire world can see the unfair distribution, the unfair treatment of a particular group of people just because their skin is darker? In some aspects, they have kinky hair, and they presume to support your opponent. What is the remedy? What are you prepared to do? What are you prepared to do to correct or to bring to justice heads in our security services who is manipulating along with the installed regime? They're breaking all the laws of Guyana. They're disrespecting the Constitution. What are you prepared to do to remedy this? To bring it to a halt and bring to justice? Because you can't be doing this thing every 4 years. It's not every 5 years, it's every 4 years. What are we prepared to do to stop this craziness, this backward, instead of moving forward? What are we prepared to do? Because we can't keep doing this thing every 4 years. It makes no sense. You either, this is my recommendation, and I told you this already. When you have a government that is terrorizing half the population, okay? Nobody is trying to correct it. When injustices and the government change, you prosecute people. If you are not prepared to change things, You have to have one. You need to be separated because nothing else would work. Or you have a parallel government. Something that represents the people who are being demonized and victimized. It's not going to work. It can't work. Something has to be done. Something has to be done. It has to stop. It got to stop. Because every 4 years, half of the population is being victimized, demoralized. And then we just go on our lives like nothing had happened. And the same people who meet all these injustices on half the population walking free, they get an excuse again to come back and do the same thing. We can't do this. We can't keep doing this all the time. It makes no sense. You have to change the constitution to have an inclusion. It doesn't matter who is in power. If you can't do that, you got to have to separate. You have to separate. Because you see what's going on there? There's a section of the population is getting, I want you guys to understand this clearly. Somebody was advocating for Guyanese to get $1 million a year. I want you guys to understand this clearly. Part of the population has already gotten their share. Okay? Look clearly, read between the lines. Half of the population already got their share. And the people with the kinky hair and the dark skin get nothing. They got nothing. They're still holding on a pink slip. Where the entire world, the governments took care of their people for COVID. Part of the population again get nothing. They're still waiting. And if a snap election come or if the petition is hard, those same people who did this atrocities to the citizens of Guyana will walk free. We cannot be doing this. It is not right. Kadaki, you guys have to advocate. You have to. You have to have a parallel government. If things not going your way, a parallel government, or you have to advocate to separate, because you can't keep talking we're one people, one nation, one destiny. And every 4 years, if a government is being installed in Guyana, you're going to be penalized, you're going to be victimized. And you have our own brothers and sisters who's doing it. We can't keep doing this thing. It makes no sense. It's destroying the population of a particular group.
Thank you, caller.
Have a good day, sir.
You too. And so back to the story. Well, the caller said a whole lot. I hope you all were listening carefully and keenly, and you were learning. You have to internalize what is said to you. It's now, we less than 900. Come on, y'all share. Listen, man. Y'all love me not let on talk. Or y'all gonna get used to it. Y'all want half-cooked food? Huh? Y'all give me a few minutes now, man. Y'all take it. Call it live. Good morning.
A blessed good morning to you, this Kadaki. I first would like to endorse my sister who just called and to make my input into this whole scenario. It is such a shame to see that people who are educated in whatever level they are fail to exercise their educated minds. I would like to start off by saying that those who are in authority that would give orders, in particularly to the police force, and those who are carrying out those orders must come to the understanding that in the event of an action that was done due to the order that was given, they themselves will ultimately be destroyed, especially if those orders are carried out in the wrong way. Mr. Kadaki, we are living in some terrible times, especially in our society, in our country. I don't want to lament on other countries because a lot of people in this country always take the path of saying, look what's going on in other countries. We ain't that bad. We are not other countries. We are Guyana, 83,000 square miles, 10 regions, 3 counties. And so long we have gained independence, and to date, our independence has been shredded by a regime that has no respect for the ones who fought for independence. I can safely say they may be rolling in their graves. But let me get back to the police force. Those officers, male and females, who are carrying out operations and who are, by virtue of taking orders from their superior, at the end of the day, whenever something goes wrong in those operations, they will be stigmatized and they will be demoralized. I would like to say this. Mr. Jagdeo, who is the person wholly and solely who runs this country, I want the Guyanese people to know and the outer world to know. Ifrad Ali is just a rubber stamp. He has no saying in the affairs of this country. He is a puppet on a string. Jagdeo has shown the world once again and Guyana once again what he's made of. And I said this to a lot of people, including family members. I said to them, I said, listen, anytime that Guyanese make that mistake and allow Jagdeo to return to office, they will see him in his true colors. And Kadaki, to date, Guyanese has seen him in his true colors. Over 400 and something men and women had lost their life in his early tenure as president. Now he has returned to the stage of vice president. I can't imagine, I can't count. You can imagine how many people have lost their lives under his hands once again. I don't know the numbers. You probably might know the facts. But let me say this. Anyone who jumps on Bar Jagdeo's bandwagon or ship, he will carry not only himself down, but he will carry them down. Everybody who is positioned to certain offices in our society have to do the bidding of Jagdeo. And when they are finished doing their bidding of Jagdeo, they themselves will fall crumbling on their faces. Look for example, look what happened to the last shooting there in Golden Grove, or Ants Grove. The person who were the officer or officers who were responsible for that boy's murder still remain free. And the officers who they took to the station, to the lockups and have them in jail, they are paying the price for the person who have done the wrong. And this is my point. Whenever all is said and done, all those officers have served Guyana Guyana Police Force with some level of respectability, they are going to do the wrongs and the social ills that will occur in our country based upon the orders that they've been given by the commanders. And they will face disappointment, they will face suffering, and they will ultimately face disrespect. Mr. Kadaki, and finally, I must say I commend you to doing such a wonderful job by highlighting the social ills in our country. And I pray that God gives you the strength to continue to do the good job. Finally, all those who are there to witness such unbearable treatment of a group of a people, as my sister just called and said, God is watching. Whenever something happens to you, don't matter how much money you got in this world or what assets you got, when you stump your toe, you know who's the first person you call for? God, not your
How are you, neighbor? How are you, do? Morning, neighbor. How was your night? How was your weekend? Are you sleep good? Morning, morning. What are you doing? It's July the 11th day in the year 2022. I could imagine all day through yesterday into today. Poor Lucille Amsterdam. All kinds of things going on in her stomach. But you know what? Give thanks. She has gifted me to the world. Hey, Olaroy. They say never look a gift horse in the mouth. She has gifted me to the world. And a lot of people might be damning the day that she decided, well, hey, I'm going to give this young man to the world. I'm going to give the fruit of my womb to the world. This morning, I want to talk about some waste men. I want to talk about waste men this morning. And I want to talk about the dark days that we've returned to. We are back to the dark days. In case you didn't realize, Gadrad used to do the nastiness of Ministry of Home Affairs. Now they got somebody else doing the nastiness from the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture. Yeah, I might think it's propaganda. Yeah, I might think it's stupidness talking. Right? Yeah, I might think it's nonsense talking. But the reality is, we are right back where we started. I don't know, some people never learn. They say people learn from their mistakes and people mature and people change and so on. Not with this cabal that we got that we call the PPP. And when you call them out for their racism and so on, they report you to Facebook. Share the live. Please and thanks, share the live. I got a notification this morning. Like Blair, who's Blair? Marcus Johnson, who's Blair? Who Blair are you talking about? Shine me. I got an email notification from Facebook this morning saying that my page is facing permanent deletion because of hate speech or some kind of things like that. So I don't know what their standards are, because maybe I'm guilty of being lazy, intellectually lazy. But I do not know what they will term a hate speech. I mean, the responses that I've given to the cabals and the trenchies and so on in the last week, a lot of people might take it and report it as hate speech because apparently they don't do investigations over Facebook and stuff. So when you knock them hard, they take it and they report it as spam, like they did with the Vice News. And then they report it as hate speech and so on and so forth. I am not daunted. Quite frankly, I'm not daunted. If it is that Facebook wants to remove the page, so be it. But like I say, when this Rastagan and another one will take its place, all I will do is start a new page. So all of you people, I've been saying to you for several months now, subscribe to our YouTube page. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please do. Ensure you take some time off and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You don't know at what stage I may or may not be able to continue broadcasting on YouTube, on Facebook, right? So let's do that. Start migrating to YouTube, because that is where we might ultimately have to work from. Please share the live. I'm just under 600. This morning I intend to talk to a lot of people because I want to go way back in time. I want to go way back in time and remind you, right, that you must never ever forget. You see, when we forget where we're coming from, we find ourselves making the same mistakes all over again. And that is exactly what is happening in this Guyanese society. A lot of black folks, a lot of Afro-Guyanese, they like to say we got shallow memory. We are quick to forget the past. And if you forget the past, you're doomed to make the same mistakes in the present. Yes, something is in my throat. And don't ask me if it's the morning after. No, it's not. It is not. God. Because there was no night before. Right? So share the life. I'm begging you, share the life. Share the life. Come on, y'all, share the life. Each of you, if you share to 20 persons right now, we're going to get to that 600 mark quickly. And then if those 20 persons share to another 20, we're going to get to that 700 mark. Let's talk to about 1,500 persons this morning live. Come on, let's do it. We can do it. I don't like, I think it's a waste of time. Waste of precious time to sit and begging you to share the life, share the life, share the life, share the life. In that period of time, we could be talking about so many things. So make it a habit. As soon as you come on, start sharing your life. Share away. Share until it hurts. Share until you can't find any place else to share. Right? So let's get that going. Please share and share. Thank you. Share. Please share. Click share. Like and share. Do that. Maybe you'll convince Facebook at that time that, this page really has a purpose and they shouldn't be blocking it or deleting it. Right? I'm tasked now. I have to go pin a comment. Let me see, how do I get that done? Y'all don't believe me. I tell y'all, while I see the live chat, I am not usually on the live chat. Because of the software I use. But I'm going into the live chat now so that I can follow instructions. And instructions say I should pin the comment. It really has a purpose and they shouldn't be blocking it. Right, so please and thanks. Continue sharing while I look for this. Oh, here it is. Oh, it's pinned. Come on, man. You could do this thing and you're asking me to do it. It's done. It's pinned. Right, it's pinned right up there. So all you folks have to do is click the YouTube channel and go across there. I think it's active right now. Let me see. Buxtonian Morning Time. Yes. Back to the dark days of PPP Madness, July 11th. Yes, it's there. Live. There are 42 persons watching on the YouTube channel. Right, so make it your business. Click the YouTube channel. Go across there. Watch on the YouTube channel and like and subscribe at the same time. Please and thanks. Good. So I'm saying that today I want us to go way back. Way back. Because you see, a lot of people don't like history. They don't like it to analyze them. And I rather suspect one of the things which caused them to report my page as hate speech and all of that is that analysis which I did on the person at the Ministry of Human Services and Social Security, or whatever they call it. Yeah. I believe that it is. They don't like when you analyze them. But scorpions will sting. I'm a crab. I'm a crustacean, Scorpions are crustaceans still, I think. And so, according to Guyanese, I got me tengele. Tentacles. Right? But let's talk. I want to start by addressing an issue which I know is current in our society. And that desire came from listening to Two Colors. Y'all remember Two Colors? Came out of jail the other day, said he was framed. He was a police informant. Excuse me. Damn. Right? He was a police informant. There are lots of informers among us in this society. And let me make it straight. Informers are necessary for safe communities and a safe society. Right? Informers are necessary. Whistleblowers are necessary. I encourage you every day to blow whistles. When you see slackness going on in the ministry and corruption and so on, I encourage you to send me information. Right? But what I don't encourage you to do is to act above the law. Zola Cameron, good morning. I wanted you here on Friday. I asked you to call me to let's talk about that woman at Ministry of Social Services. You didn't. I'm not happy with you. But you can get a chance to call and let's continue that conversation this morning. Share the live, please and thanks. Please, share the live. Yes. So you see, in some societies, informants are a major part of crime solving. But they don't act above the law. Right? They don't act above the law. They don't become hitmen and a law unto themselves. They don't bully people in their society, in their communities, because they have connection with the crime fighting agencies. As a matter of fact, more than anything else, they should be towing the line. They should be more law abiding. Because if you're an informant, you most times act undercover. And so you don't want to do anything to blow your cover. But in this Guyanese society, when you're an informant, it's as if they give you carte blanche. It's as if they give you the right to do as you like. And the law pats you on the shoulder and send you away and say, good boy, but behave next time. Right? And so we have the Ghana police force has been using informants in this society. All well and good. We need crimes to be solved. People need to inform. People who got links to the underground need to spill the beans. But when you look at the history of informants in this country, I want you all to recognize something. They all, for the most part, end up dead or in jail. Because not only are they paid informants, but they become paid assassins. Murder for hire. And there's murder for hire in the Guyana police force. There's no question about that. Most recent case of murder for hire is the Queen Bacchus murder. And y'all don't take it lightly, I said it. Queen Bacchus' murder turned out to be a case of murder for hire in the Guyana police force. And it has very high connections. Very, very high connections. And that is why you're not getting anywhere with it. That is why only 3 black men, 3 Afro-Guyanese were charged as scapegoats. But the real hitmen are walking free. Because the bounty was big enough to take care of those higher up. Short and long-term interest. But back to what I'm talking about. A lot of these informants end up in jail or dead because they become guns to hire. And so I want to address our young men, especially. Young Afro-Guyanese men who are choosing to become special branch officers and informants and so on. A whole lot of them are choosing that path because they are given the impression and are gravitating to this belief that they would have all the power in the world to do as they like. And some of the silliest people operate in this society as special branch officers and informants. I can identify all of them by just looking at their vehicles. Every single one of them has a vehicle that is tint to the darkest of night. And you assume I wouldn't know who you are? I only have to know where the vehicle is registered I only have to know the registered owner of the vehicle. I only have to know where the vehicle is parked, and I can make my associations. So driving around with a heavily tinted vehicle, yes, I may not know who is inside at the current moment. But I can do my research, and I can tell who you are. So I got some of the duncest people, quite frankly, in this society operating a special branch in whatever you want to call them. Right? Janet Elias says she doesn't want to hear from Two Colors. I want to hear from Two Colors because Two Colors has things he can tell this society about. Those very mothers who are crying for their sons, maybe he can bring closure for them. So we should want to hear from Two Colors. I remember the story of Deep Throat that saw the was it impeachment of the American president? We back here, we talking. So when you see a heavily tinted vehicle driving the road, and the police doesn't stop it, and the police doesn't make that person take off their tint, immediately you assume that there's some kind of embeddedness, some kind of connection with the police, some kind of incestuous relationship with the police. And so a lot of these guys who drive around with these heavily tinted vehicles and so on, and behave as though they real dunce thugs and so, you can make an association. But a lot of our young Afro-Guyanese men are rushing to go that direction because they might see it as status. But let me tell you what has happened to people like those in this society. They end up again, I'm saying, dead or in jail. George Bacchus. The Bacchus brothers, as a matter of fact. What was the other one's name? Can't remember. But this is another Bacchus connection. Wow. So George Bacchus in the 2000s, in the times of trouble, was an informant for the Phantom Squad or the Killing Squad, whichever one was controlled by Gadrach. And he was informing. According to him, he was happy informing because it was getting bad guys off the street. But then it switched from bad guys to anybody who was against the government. And when the squad became judge, jury, and executioner, he became concerned. And he decided that he couldn't stand it anymore. He couldn't stand it anymore. Kindly encourage that 140 something persons to share now. Those who are just coming in, kindly share. Don't just come in and sit. We need this thing to go far and wide. Shafiq and George. Right? And so once he became uncomfortable with what was happening and he voiced his opinion, then the target was placed on his back. He became a target. And his brother was murdered. Yes, a case of mistaken identity. And he was murdered. Eventually. Because there was no longer use to him. He had already done his deed. He had served his purpose to the cabal and to the killing squad. Right? And in that lineup, you find, among those, you would find the killers, the hitmen. I'd like to tell you all about Kazerki, because he's one of the most outstanding examples to me. Most blatant. Serving policeman, I think. He became entangled, was locked up, started singing like a canary because he too had tales to tell like Two Colors. And once they realized that he was the weakest link perhaps and he was going to talk, they decided we can't afford this. And he took ill and was hospitalized and died a mysterious death. Okay? Died a mysterious death. Up until now, they can't tell you what killed him. Because it was institutional. It was state-sponsored murder. And there's so many other instances. We talk about Yancey Douglas. While they say, and they make Yancey Douglas's murder appear to be a case of mistaken identity, 5 young black men perhaps driving around in a white vehicle because that was the MO at the time, and the target special squad shot it up, and Yancey Douglas wound up dead. My information says to me that it wasn't a case of mistaken identity. It was a case of a father using the state's apparatus to exact vengeance for his, let me say, scorned daughter. They say, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. And so my own understanding, information suggests, in that particular instance, this was a situation where a love affair had gone bad. And the daughter of this political bigwig had indicated to Douglas that if I can't have you, nobody else can have you. And so the hit was placed. And Yancey Douglas wound up dead. So that is why I said we're going to go deep into history. A lot of people might be hearing that theory for the first time. That's what a lot of people might be hearing for the first time, that particular theory. Right? And so I am using these things to show our young black men that while it might be good to work with a system to help to solve crime, it is also a dangerous thing dependent on your association with the system, because it comes back to haunt you. Two Colors wasn't the last, and he wouldn't be the last. McLennan is in jail right now. He's a special branch officer. Fast and upcoming. Man got a master's. He was a sergeant. He's now a cadet officer according to the promotion list. According to them, he never had anything to besmirch his character, but here it is. He's facing a major one. Those who are enablers of the wicked eventually become victims of the wicked. Because I take your bet, in all of his innocence, assuming he is innocent in this issue, he holds a lot of secret for the state. I can tell you that. There are young black men right now who tell themselves that they're doing the administration a good by associating with the people in Golden Grove who are protesting for justice for Quindon Bacchus. They have been planted among the protesters and the organizers of those protests to demand justice for Quindon Bacchus and the Golden Grove people were wrong during the armed forces incursion into that village. And they're going there and they're planting seeds of disruption. And they're trying to lead people in certain directions with their discussions to entrap them. So I'm saying this, and I'm saying it loud and clear. those of you who believe, that you're serving a good by going among those people and trying to create havoc, your day will come. Your day will come because, like I said, those who are enablers of the wicked will eventually become victims of the wicked. And there will come a time when they have no use for you. And they're going to either disappear you or they're going to incarcerate you. So go bravely. Go bravely. Continue to operate like the Chinese axe, two-edged sword. Continue. Go bravely. That's all my encouragement to you. Right? That's my encouragement to you. No ill will, just my encouragement to you. Go bravely. But understand that while you are undermining the struggle of the people of Golden Grove, you are undermining a struggle that can make you safer in this society. You are undermining a struggle that can make you safer in this society. Look at where this society is. 6 or 7 persons on an operation that resulted in the murder of Quinton Bacchus. But 3 of them were charged. While the squad included Indo-Guyanese, 3 Afro-Guyanese were charged. Are you saying that Indo-Guyanese are above the fray? They're so angelic that none of them committed an infraction that could see them being charged and placed before the court as a part of this squad? The precedence, as a matter of fact, is that when a member of a squad behaves badly, to the extent that it results in death, the entire squad is charged. Because if you want to look at it in a simplistic way, you mean none of them couldn't tell him to stop? But here we have 3 Afro-Guyanese charged, but no Indo-Guyanese, despite the fact that the number of Afro-Guyanese on the squad was as equal to the number of Indo-Guyanese on the squad. But only the Afro-Guyanese could be charged. And y'all wonder why. Like I said, there's murder for hire in the Guyana police force. And the bounty was big enough to take care of everybody. And again, our young black men who seem to believe in quick fixes find themselves in these difficult situations because of that same belief. They believe that a quick raise hay and a quick raise debt is better than staying the course and struggling upward. It's a hustle here and a hustle there. They want a hustle now and a hustle, but the hustle turns back to haunt you. My understanding is that in this particular issue, the hitmen were identified, didn't know their target. And so they co-opted Afro-Guyanese who knew the target. And the rest is history. Y'all walk it out. The rest is history. They said talk off, left off. Talk off, left off. Share the live. We're going to get to that 1500 mark if you keep sharing the live. Just don't come in and sit around. You have to be active. This is our thing. Share the live. And this morning, like I said, I'm going way back into history. Do you remember? Song said, do you remember the days of slavery? Do you remember the days of torture in this society, in this Guyanese society? When did they occur? They occurred under the PPP. In case you all forget. We're now back with the PPP government. A lot of folks like to ask, A lot of folks like to ask, what the Granger government did for me? A lot of Afro-Guyanese like to say the Granger government didn't do anything for us. And you've always heard me argue that the Granger government did a lot for us, but we just couldn't appreciate it. They promised us the good life, didn't they? I don't know if they delivered. Some people argue that they didn't deliver on the promise of the good life. Right? A lot of people argue they didn't deliver on the promise of the good life. But I always make the point to you that if you're to enjoy anything good, you must first be alive. If you are to enjoy anything good, or if you are to enjoy anything at all, you have to be alive. And so, like I always say, I gave Granger credit for keeping citizens relatively safe compared to the PPP in this society. I would always give him credit for that. Black men were not hunted and gunned down, neither were Indo-Guyanese or other ethnic groups. They were not hunted and gunned down. They were not tortured and abused on a daily basis. I'm not saying that some didn't happen, but it did not happen as regularly as it did and does under the PPP administration. Right? Under the PPP administration of the past, a young man was sodomized with a baton. In case sodomized is too difficult for you all to understand, a baton was forced up his anus. The common man called it bugger. And buggery is a part of the laws of Guyana, so don't think I'm indecent. He was buggered with a baton by members of the law enforcement agency. Another young man had his genitals, his balls, his scrotums, his seeds, his testicles, whatever you all know it by. And I use it, that's how I teach. I have to use all of the terms, or most of the terms that people are familiar with, so it doesn't fly over their heads. He had his testicles lit afire. He was badly burnt under the PPP. It was a robbery investigation that they were conducting. Yesterday I said, Parika, I was reminded that it is Lenora. Good? We had a young man who was shot in his mouth under the PPP. Are you remembering these things? And for those young people who are on the program who have never heard of these things, yes, they haven't. You haven't under the government, you all grew up. Right? You all grew up under the PPP government. I usually say a lot of the young people in this society under 40 is PPP children. And so I'm telling you what your history is in case you didn't know, because you all feel to believe that the PPP is such a good thing. So we had that young man who was shot in his mouth. When the name Axel Williams became popular in this country, I wonder where Axel Williams is. Was he dead or is he alive? I can't remember. First time I heard of Axel Williams, I heard of a Puri vendor being shot for $20. Mark Doris, how you saying no sound? Mark, are you serious? Everybody else seems to be hearing. Y'all tell me if y'all not getting sound. Talk to me. Is everybody hearing me clearly? I don't want this to go waste. Mark Doris, check your device and confirm that you're hearing. In the meantime, please share the live, folks. Let's share the live. Talk to me. Share the live. Loud and clear, we're hearing. Loud and clear. Yes, yes, we're hearing. Check your device, Mark. Yes. So the first time I heard of Axel Williams is when a young Afro-Guyanese man selling puri for his living was shot dead for $20 if I remember clearly. And instead of his license firearm being taken away, it was upgraded by Ronald Gadraj. Upgraded by Gadraj. Sharon Anthony is saying no sound. Y'all check your devices, please. Don't make me uncomfortable. Please and thanks. The majority rules. The majority said they're hearing loud and clear. Right? All of these excesses which I'm talking about occurred under the PPP. The Target Special Squad, the Black Clothes Police as we call them, were enablers. At one time it was headed by Leon Fraser. After Leon Fraser was murdered, note I said was murdered. Some say he was murdered by his colleagues in the Target Special Squad, among whom is a man who now serves in the Ministry of Home Affairs as an advisor to the minister. We'll talk about him just now. Right? But some argue that he was murdered by his colleagues. Leon Fraser, don't forget that name. And when I say they were enablers of the wrongdoings of the PPP and the wrongdoings of the criminal underworld, I'm not speaking loosely, because, excuse me, the United States Embassy official Thomas Carroll, when he was caught up in the visa scam, visa for sex, visa for money, visa for everything, visa scam, the FBI and others investigated and found that the Target Special Squad, or Black Clothes Police as we call them, were his enforcers. So again, murder for hire was available from the Guyana Police Force. Goons were available for hire from the Guyana Police Force back in the 2000s when Thomas Carroll was caught up in the visa scam. So this is nothing new. I'm showing you precedents. At the time, the dirty squad, the dirty department, whatever you call it, the Minister of Home Affairs, Ronald Gadraj, was integrally involved in those operations. Currently, there is still a dirty squad, a killing squad, a nasty squad, whatever you want to call it, operating in this country. But it's operating from a different ministry. I can prove my case by way of association. If need be, I will do that just before the court. Because like they say, I like to bait people. I want somebody to carry me before the court for making these allegations, so that I can put it out there without having to look over my shoulder. Y'all hear me? Right? More desire from the Guyana Police Force right now, just as it was for hire with the Target Special Squad. And so who is this member of the Target Special Squad that I'm saying that is an advisor to the Minister of Home Affairs currently? Are you aware of the name Steve Murray? I'm sure you are. Steve Murray was implicated in the murder of Shaka Blair in Buxton. I understand he was the officer in command when Shaka Blair's door was kicked in and Shaka was murdered in the wee hours sometime in the month of April, I think, or late March, around the Easter season of that year. All of what went on in this country resulted in Murray migrating to Canada, as far as I remember. So too was one of the witnesses in the Shackleby murder. I understand she too migrated to Canada. I don't know if there is any nexus. Right? In fact, she was Shaka's reputed wife. I understand she migrated to Canada too. And so that case never really came to closure, or what we anticipated to be proper closure. Share the live. Continue sharing. Continue sharing the live. And with the advent of the PPP back in office, quietly, some people like big words, surreptitiously, man. Mary came back and is serving silently in the office of the Ministry of Home Affairs as an advisor to the minister. Right? So nothing has, I'm showing you where nothing has really changed in this new advent of the PPP, because it's the same PPP of old that is here again. You're seeing different faces in front, but there's still old operatives at the back. In which other country would you have had an advisor to the Minister of Home Affairs being someone whose character was questionable when he served as a member of the Guyana Police Force? Oh yes, somebody said Waddle too. We never mentioned Waddle. Oh, how sad. Right? Waddle. I understand the instructions issued when Waddle got shot up was let him die. People were actually calling the Georgetown Hospital doctors or doctor in charge and give them instructions as to how to deal with certain persons when they were taken there as a result of gunshot wounds. Let them die. That one is not worth saving. That is a criminal cabal that we had running this country. And that is a criminal cabal that we have running this country. And people are taking it for granted. Guyanese are not rising up and running the crazy ballheads out of town by keeping them accountable. Guyanese are not doing that. And so when people like myself and David Hines and Sherrod Duncan and Rickford Burke and so on bring these things to the fore, they try to shut us down by labeling us racist to start with. I don't care. They label us instigators. I don't care. They threaten our lives. I don't care. There are many people who died before me and will die after me for doing the right thing. But I say to you that there is strength in numbers. And the more of us in this society that rise up to challenge this nonsense that is happening in our society, the faster we will get rid of it. Take an example from Sri Lanka. Can you imagine swimming in the pool of any minister of government in this country? Can you imagine going into State House and swimming in the pool? Well, the Sri Lankans did it. They took over the presidential complex. Because they were fed up, or they are fed up of the nonsense. Guyanese, we are such a loving people that from excesses to excesses to excesses, and we still are sitting in our docility. We're not doing anything, we're not saying anything. Because it's them fight, it's not we fight. And them black man fight, it's them Afro-Guyanese fight, it's them Amerindian Guyanese fight, it's not we fight. It's them Indo-Guyanese fight, it's not we fight. The fight in this country is everybody's fight. Everybody's fight. And so yesterday we got news. Those of you who weren't on the live, we got news yesterday of a young man in police custody set alight by a police constable. I've already established the precedents. It is only allowed to happen under the PPP. It did not happen under the Granger government. As a matter of fact, people trying to kill Granger, or people trying to kill the president under the Granger government, and nothing was done to them. They had no punishment whatsoever. That's the image of Jaheim Peters. Jaheim Peters is a 17 years old. Arrested Thursday last by the police. According to his father, they never really told him what he was arrested for. But we are now hearing it is armed robbery. In our parlance, we might say he's a little disgusting boy, according to what I'm understanding, because he's known to the police. His father said that yesterday. And so they arrested him in this investigation for whatever it was. His father had no problem with him being arrested for investigation. The police want to investigate, let him investigate. But he was arrested with other minors. And those minors, 2 Indo-Guyanese youngsters, were placed in juvenile lockups. But he was placed among the adults. I don't know if 17 is considered adulthood in the investigative journals or whatever the SOPs are, I don't know. But he was placed in vigilance lockup among the adults. And yesterday morning, or in the course of yesterday, the father got a call to say that his son is at the hospital being treated for burns to his body. Now, this call didn't come from the police. They say fool attack, fool not listening. And sometimes when I hear certain explanations, which some of you heard yesterday, I ask myself, what baloney is this? Right? The call didn't come from the police to say, sir, your son lit himself a fire, and so we had to rush him to the hospital. But when I called around, that is what they said, the boy lit himself a fire. Case of the magic lighter. You're in police custody and you have a lighter in the cell. That's what the police want you to believe. As they say, I didn't know that I buying it as a selling it as a buy it. But the evidence is that this young man was burnt in police custody. And he had allegations to make. I have another photograph of him right now. That is him with the burns. And this is him yesterday, sometime after being treated, strapped up and so on. Right? But what is evident is that people believe again that the PPP is in office and they can use extreme measures against citizens again. Case in comparison, in March of 2020, when the little election started off, the residents of Bath Settlement had police running for their life. They injured some of them too. Not one of them. Well, one of them was eventually shot. But they weren't shot with pellets. And they weren't shot with rubber bullets. And they weren't tear smoked. The police behaved in a manner that many people will call as professional or unprofessional, in that they ran from the protesters and so on. But they acted with constraint. That's the word. They acted with constraint. Because it was still under the David Granger government. And the David Granger government wasn't allowing police to be excessive in their conduct against civilians. But here, under the current administration, the PPP administration, you're seeing all manner of excesses from the Guyana police force against civilians. Imagine the officer in charge, the commanding officer for special branch, believed that it was the wisest and smartest thing to do to don his uniform and go out there and confront protesters who were protesting extrajudicial killing, the use of excessive force by members of his squad. But back to this burning incident. So here's another example of policemen being emboldened to believe that they can burn a citizen. And I am saying, forgive me if I'm wrong, and if the evidence comes back to say I'm wrong, I will accept that maybe I have a bias against the police, which really and truly I don't think I have. But my common sense tells me that if you are in police custody, if the police had done its duty as required, then you couldn't even light yourself a fire as they're claiming. And I'm assuming that they did their duty. And so it's near impossible for this young man to have lit himself a fire. And so it must be the police knows how he was lit a fire. And I'm saying that the police is complicit, if not directly involved in this young man being lit a fire. Complicit in that if they fail to do their duty properly and allow them access to a flammable substance and a lighter, they are complicit. They are guilty of dereliction of duty. But if you listen to the young man's claim, it would sound as though a policeman held him and lit him a fire. In all fairness, let me say, you heard those calls that I made yesterday. You heard the courteous responses of almost all the officers I called that answered. As we speak, there are 2 police constables under close arrest. The Office of Professional Responsibility is taking up an investigation of the matter, and Constables Europe and Ibardan or some, let me get the correct name. I got the name. I just can't remember the correct spelling. Right? The correct pronunciation. I have to see it to believe it. Wow. Message gone. Anyhow, I like these things. Good. I like these things. But I think it is Ibardan. Let me just say it's Ibardan. Something like that. But the name suggests it's an Indo-Guyanese policeman. Did I say constable? No, they're corporals. So 2 corporals, for safety's sake, 2 corporals are under arrest. Close arrest, that is. Right? And so OPR, Office of Professional Responsibility, is investigating this matter. And so we must not take our eyes off of it. We must keep our eyes on it. Because it is clear that the darkness that this nation had to endure under the PPP of past is again rising under the PPP of present. It's not idle talk, and I keep repeating it because I want you all to pay close attention to what I'm saying. The killer squad is out there. It is not controlled from the Ministry of Home Affairs anymore. But its operatives have been intertwined into the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture. I am saying it and I'm standing by it. And the evidence is out there to defend it should I be asked to at any point in time. Guyanese, be aware. Guyanese, be aware. Guyanese, be vigilant. Guyanese, put your shoulders to the wheel and let us save this country of ours. How can we do it? By chanting down Babylon every single day with our numbers. I maintain there's a reason for protest in this country every single day. People are saying they don't want to protest because of their jobs and their families and their relatives. I tell you something. If you have a relative who is a policeman, or a soldier, or a prison warder, or prison officer, or even public servant, in many instances, their job description and the contract that is signed prevents them from coming onto the protest line. You have a responsibility to protest on their behalf. Don't let it tell you, stay off the protest line because my job is at stake. If I protest, what it got to do with my child or my brother? They must then be prepared to defend their right to work and their individuality and the agreements of their contract if it comes to them being victimized. That is their role. Your role is to protest and defend the Constitution of this country. So not because your son is a senior officer in the guy in the defense force or guy in the police force or guy in the prison service, you tell yourself that you got to lay down and roll over. And be another enabler of the wicked and vindictiveness that this government is going on with. Colin Barnwell, yes, Ghana has an opposition. We are the opposition. Every single citizen is an opposition. But is every single citizen coming together to form one big, formidable opposition? No. Sri Lankans did it. I think the Chileans did it to get back the president that was overthrown, or what we call the thing, regime changed. Right? I am saying we can stop this runaway train. But we have to determine in our minds that we want it done. Share the life. The aim is 1500. We're talking history and present. Share the life. That same young man who came here to me yesterday to complain about his son said the last time he was here to complain about a cricket pitch that was being destroyed by a certain set of people, he was threatened in the presence of others. He was told that the next time you go on Camps TV to complain about us, one man told him, I'm going to chop you up in pieces. In the presence of others. Only people who believe that they're empowered and they got a hearing of the government, the wicked and vindictive cabal, and they're protected, will behave in such a way. And that's what I'm talking about. Is anybody willing to stand up and push back against the status quo? Nah, everybody bending their head and ducking and hollering. We frightened. Frightened what? Old people say don't frighten cow and eat tail. Don't be afraid of cow and its tail. We have to stand up as a citizen, as the citizens of this country. It's now 11 minutes past 8 o'clock hour. I think I can open up the lines now. So let's talk about the thing. We got lots of other things to talk about. But I think I've addressed enough. If you can't see it, you've heard it. And I hope I've given you the evidence to show that we're heading back where we started. Into the dark days of the PPP. That's where we headed. Queen Mbaka's murder? We've only touched the tip of the iceberg. The three are charged. In fact, the main, the one who is charged with murder, Christophe, the Nobrega, is set to make his appearance in court tomorrow. I think it's the Coven John's Magistrates Court. The Golden Grove folks will be out there protesting, calling for justice. So tune in and join them. Like I say, there's numbers, there's strength in numbers. So go there and add your number. Call your life, good morning. Hold your line, please. I need to get your volume up. I first got to find the call. Go ahead, call your life.
Could you hear me better now? Okay.
Go ahead, call your life.
Yes, okay. I would like to talk this morning, make a comment this morning about something I heard over the weekend. It's a little bit outside the box. We're talking about coalition politics here.
Caller.
Right?
Caller, can we talk about coalition politics the next morning? Sometimes you got to keep the focus. Right?
Understood.
If you drink your milk, drink milk. Don't throw water inside. You're going to get watered down. Let's keep the focus this morning. We're going to talk about coalition politics. We got lots of time to talk about that.
Okay.
Let's talk about this extrajudicial killing. People being tortured in police custody. The fact that there's a killing squad, whatever you want to call it, operating out of one of the ministries of this country. Let's talk about those things. Let's talk about the fact that you have, in my mind, a disgraced former police advising the Minister of Home Affairs and Security Matters. Let's talk about those things.
Okay, great. Well, I don't have much to say about that right now.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna have someone else, give someone the chance to see what they want to say.
Sure, no problem. Thank you for your cooperation.
Okay,
Kindly share the live. Share the live, please. We got things to talk. Let's talk about those things. Don't run from the hard ones and let's deal with the easy ones. Every topic, every issue in this society must be confronted. 6225933 is the number to call. Lines remain open. Call A Live, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Mr. Amsterdam. Good morning. Now, quickly, I will point out something very obvious to what you're trying to tell us here this morning of non-action because of the state behavior. Now, I ain't going back. I going about 2 days ago with your approach here in Melanie when you were doing some what you call it groundwork by showing the public what is taking place there in Melanie. Now the action, the reaction from the residents there. That is our problem. That's the reason why the state cannot be confronted by the people in Guyana, because we seems to be a very sentimental kind of people. We see things the way we want to see things. We are refusing to accept the things that are reality before our eyes. Like simply, the guy refused to say he talk about the village that surround him, that is being treated different from him, from his village. But refuse to call the name and saying that we want to talk. Then the talk take place there in the 2022 budget about roads in Guyana, and he ain't got none, but the surrounding villages got. And that is our problem.
Thank you, caller.
We are refusing to see things the way we should.
Thank you, caller.
Otherwise, that we handle the situation. Thank you.
Thank you. When I looked at the story about Sri Lanka, one of the things I was looking for is to see how many persons were shot dead or even injured by shots fired by the armed forces and the presidential guards and so on. Have you come across any of that information on the internet? Is it suggesting that all of those hundreds of thousands of people stormed the palace and not one shot was fired or nobody was shot? It says something. It says something. Remember when protesters were lured? Note I said lured. Call all the line. When protesters were lured to the office of the president under the PPP administration by people to sit and talk trash right now. And the same time Mark Benshop ended up with it from treason charge. Remember how many persons were shot and killed there? Right? Remember how many persons were shot and killed there. But this is Sri Lanka. And there were hundreds of thousands of people based on what I've seen. And I haven't read that any of them was shot and killed. I might be wrong, but y'all correct me. Call it live, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, everybody viewing this live. My talk is that where the police force, that's the way of the police. When you see you go there, you make your complaints, they do nothing. But when you look at those policemen who get locked up now for Quindon case, you gotta ask yourself, if when you go to make reports, if these police are well educated to handle reporting crime, amassing scenes of crime scenes and the like. Because if they were educated in that way, to take a report from a citizen and perform with clarity so that the citizen could feel that they are went to the right place. Looking at what has happened, you will want to ask yourself if they are well equipped educationally to handle the job that they are in. And when it comes to the boy who was born, that usually happens in police custody. About 2 months ago, a man went into Lenora and he ended up hanging himself. That is the report that come out. And the police did not contact the man's immediate family of his death. It's someone who went to the station to carry meals, got the message and passed it on to the family. So when these crimes of atrocities happens to people of the country in the police custody, they never inform the immediate family of what is going on. And those things that you have mentioned, it is so true. And people got a way of forgetting. And people got a way of saying things on these programs like they don't study before they talk. Because if people gonna come on and say, you must not look back into history of how we came here and what we went through, we will not be able to go forward. And then there are some people who would tell you what was announced. They tell their people not to look at the former government, look to a better government. Well, this is the better government that we have. Installed they are. That they are trying so many things of a lot of young African men. And when you destroy the African men, you cannot have a bloodline to continue populating the place. And when that doesn't happen, you see what is happening? The women now will have to go to other areas to try to replenish the earth, thus weakening the African race. That is my thing. Bye-bye.
Thank you for your call. 6225 is the number to call. I think Wanda mentioned black ministers of government. When I reflect on the many of these black ministers of government, Afro-Guyanese ministers in government, one term comes to mind: waste man. Waste man. I promised I was going to address a waste man this morning. I almost forgot. Mark Peters, super. Went to Golden Grove 2 Saturdays ago. The people complained to him that the madman who they said threatened Ali's life was in lockup. Still, madman, a certified madman. Mark Phillips took the name of the man and promised to look into it. Up to today, that madman has not been released. When they last checked, he was at a psychiatric ward, and the doctor said to them, "We are waiting instructions from the DPP as to whether or not you will be charged. Waste man! Call it live, good morning. Don't make promises you can't keep.
Yeah. Morning, Kadaki. I'm calling concerns this boy will get bored. It had another young man who was at that same station. But the persons, when they identified, they said no because the boy was in Georgetown and he just come back from town, and he was talking to one of the young men. Then the police roll up and the police pick him up and carry to the station. But this boy mother is a crackhead, and she went and she tear off. She tell them plain, anytime they put her son in the lockup, she went straight in front of the station and she protesting. Eventually they send him home, but they told her they didn't charge him or put sending and no recovery funds. They just tell her to carry him home and bring him back today. Do you think it's wise for her to take back her son at the station today? She just wants to know.
Well, usually when you're dealing with a matter that involves a minor, it is one of the course of action that is allowed by the police. The minor is usually released into the care of a parent or guardian and given a time and date when they should return to the police station. So if that is the agreement, that is the agreement. She should take her child back.
Okay.
And therefore the police doesn't have to say, well, you know, this child is not wanted, etc., etc.
How old is he, brother?
She should take them back.
He's 20, he's 20, they didn't hold him the sentence.
Well,
Okay, he's 20.
so let's become more interesting. So they released an adult in the custody of his parent, but kept a minor to burn him. I think they should send him back. She should send him back.
You should carry him out.
Yes, I think so. And better yet, if she can get a lawyer to accompany him, that is what should be done.
Okay, because he was trying to get on to you and she didn't get on to you. She just asked me to call and find him.
All right, good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm not anti-police. I am pro-law, not lawlessness. Good? Once the police is operating in a lawful way, then you give them support. But if they're not operating in a lawful way, then you have to challenge that which challenges you. 6225933 is the number to call. The lines remain open. Continue to share the live. These discussions must go far and wide. Like I said earlier, I got a notification from Facebook that my page might be permanently deleted because of complaints of hate speech or something to that extent. I'm trying to find out more about this infraction so that we can address it. That's one. And two. The other thing is, I notice I've been getting a lot of copyright violation because of the CAM's Saturday rhythms, and so I'm really thinking in my mind how to deal with that. Whether or not we'll continue to do CAM Saturday rhythms on this page, or we might have to find an alternative. Why? CAM's TV is bigger than entertainment, and we cannot allow our page to be deleted because of entertainment. We cannot allow our page to get blocked because of entertainment. So entertainment is important. I can tell you that it's a great relief at the end of the week to be able to do that program and share laughter and so on with you. But I'm thinking we might have to find another avenue, another medium to do it. Right? So we might go across to YouTube, or we might do some Zoom parties and whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, the aim is to keep CAMS TV on air. 6225933 is the number to call. Let's talk the thing. I'm sure there will be voice notes. Let me check them. Call A Live, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Mr. Karaki. Could you remember the first killing in when the PPP came in was Shaka Blair? That was the fourth early morning in the bed. And the next, now when they're coming back, the first killing is Aaron Boston in his bed. That is the same thing I was saying, that these people
Charles Ramson go to Agricola, boxing and all over, and recruiting these little black children by giving them ball and all these crazy things. So there's this story. So they come back again with a nonsense. You see how many black men don't die already in this time? Then you got two black one on the net was talking about the woman, the girl with the chair. How they shouldn't have done that. They shouldn't have done that. Hello?
Yes, I'm with you.
Yes, they shouldn't have done that to her because she little one. These people calling, if it was a black person, what the Indians then would do with him. You understand? Now, the other one, the next one, I can't even remember his name, saying that he's a PPP and he would never be a PNC. And they're wrong what they do to the black girl, the good girl. They gotta do what they gotta do because only black man is thief. She would have thief out all them chair out to the church. Carry away all and nobody know what to do. If people didn't see her,
Caller.
they would have known.
Caller.
Take the chair.
Caller.
Yeah.
Might I remind you what we're talking about this morning?
Yes.
Thank
I
you.
understand.
We're talking about chair this morning. Chair is small things.
All right. Well, this is why they're doing what they're doing right now. These people come back, recruiting these children, and this is what they're doing now. Come out for kill people. As you talk, they're saying something. They're telling you something wrong, this or what have you. We got that for reaction. Black people gotta wake up. That's all.
Thank you, caller. Voice note.
Good morning, Mr. Amsterdam. Good morning, viewers. It is so sad to hear what Afro-Guyanese went through and continue to go through under the PPP party. It is very, very sad. And something have to be done. Something have to be done. The Afro-Guyanese people need to get up and get rid of Ali Jagdeo regime. It is not getting better. It is not getting better. And Guyanese, especially Afro-Guyanese, you guys need to do something about it. All over the world, the people got the power and the people can change things.
Follow the line from it.
The people can change things and y'all need to stand up. Y'all need a country where all the races can live with love and unity. But under the PPP, it's a no-no. And Sarah Lynch, Motley, Gonzalez, all of them that install the PPP, all this problem should put square on their shoulders. It's a disgusting thing to listen what Afro-Guyanese got to go through in Guyana. The Biden.
Call A Live, good morning.
Yeah. Hello?
Call A Live, good morning.
Yeah, morning again. Sidaki, I was watching the protest in Sri Lanka. It showed that everybody got to come together in Guyana to do this thing. It can't just be a black eye. See a bullet, anybody was shot in the crowd. Everybody, all and sundry, descend and the police. When we get that thing in Guyana, then is when we could get in. But if when you look at it, it's only one set of people.
Thank you, caller. 6225933 is the number to call. You tune to the Buxtonian Morning Time. Voice note?
Biden administration have to do something. This is madness. Madness. Madness in Guyana. So Afro-Guyanese.
Okay, I will do that. I'll organize a group of people and then I will get on back to you. Hi, good morning, Kadaki. Good morning, Guyana. Kadaki, the world and Guyana at large await the arrest of the 3 Indian special branch officers that were seen on the video, clearly seen shooting at Bacchus. We await impatient for the arrest and for the DPP to do the work that she's supposed to do in the first place. View the video. The video show clearly the persons that were firing shot at Bacchus, and to take the necessary step and to get these guys arrested who are still out there walking around and innocent in prison.
Lines remain open. 6225933 is the number to call. Y'all friend to talk? Y'all want to talk? If y'all didn't want to talk, call alive. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Kadaki. Good morning, everyone in the diaspora. Good morning, all Guyanese. The issue, the subject matter of extrajudicial killings. Now, that's a very, very serious crime. That's how serious it is that the number one crime in the United Nations is genocide. And after genocide is extrajudicial killings in terms of seriousness. Now, Guyana has been involved in at least 1,480 extrajudicial killings, according to former President David Arthur Granger. It was President David Arthur Granger who acknowledged officially from the state that Guyana has been implicit and involved in extrajudicial killings. He said 1,480. That's the number that the Guyanese government has acknowledged that the Guyana government is responsible for and involved with and facilitated. And David Arthur Granger, as president, put that evidence out there to the world and said something has to be done for the victims. That's the official call by the president. Any call that goes out by a president has authority, mandate to it. So that call has gone into the world that requires a response. You must understand that. Now, dealing more specifically with the issues of this recent spat of killings, or in Boston and most recently, Quindon Bacchus. Now, I notice that Mr. Paul Slow said that the crime scene was not properly preserved. And Mr. Conway said the same thing. Adam Harris on Politics, what I'm talking about, said that he hasn't heard much about any bullets. Now that's Paul Slow talking, who has got FBI training. He said he hasn't heard, I guess, anything much about any bullets as public evidence. So what I'm wondering, if we haven't heard much about the bullets at this point, but yet Mr. McLennan, who was not on the crime scene at the time of the shooting, is now arrested and is being charged for being part, or his gun is being part, then how can you link Mr. McLennan's gun to a shooting which he wasn't there if you don't have the bullets at this point in time, July? So it seems that the bullets are behind the scenes. So I just want to pull that out. I just want to bring that to the fore, because questions are being asked about the bullets. No one is acknowledging the presence of the bullets, as though the bullets have disappeared, right? But yet we see indications of the bullets being attributed to the charge of McLennan. Moving along. So now, for persons in Grove, if they find any bullets, know that those bullets tell a story. So if women, I heard women said they've got bullets, either from random shootings from the police or the particular Bacchus incident, know that those bullets can determine who is actually the trigger man. Even the shell casings tell a story, just as the warhead in the body tells a story. So if people have got that, people need to hold on to it, video it, and I guess get it to Kadaki, and he'll get it to the proper officials. So that's evidence. Now, the next point I want to make. I hear about two colors. There's the issue about two colors held for 8 years. And the issue of a former sergeant, I think his name was King, who was held for 5 years. Both of them held on remand. How do you hold? Let's compare the 72 hours stop and detain. In the context of 72 hours stop and detain, in the context of a person is presumed innocent until proven guilty, how do you hold a person for 5 years and then say, every time that you ask the magistrate to extend 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and you don't have evidence to hold these people, then what is the prosecutor doing? And what is also the magistrate involved in? I want to put the public on notice concerning magistrates. They are just as crooked as the prosecutors and the cops. So when we're talking about the subject of extrajudicial killings, we have got to attack not only the cause, but the effect.
Thank you, sir.
We've got to look at the causative factor. Did you say something, sir?
I said thank you.
Is my time up already?
Have you made your point, sir?
I am concluding this point.
Okay, conclude this point, please. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah. So when we are asking about, well, who shot this particular person, what are we noticing? We are noticing that there's a system that is facilitating that. Notice that these police officers are being facilitated by whom? By prosecutors who are kind of facilitating this extrajudicial system. On the other hand, there are magistrates who can hold accused persons without sufficiency of evidence. Really? For 5 years? For 8 years? How do you do that? How do you meet a man on the street, take away his freedom? Do you know that taking away a person's freedom is harder than climbing the Kaichor or climbing Mount Everest? It is the hardest thing to do, to take away a person's freedom. And the police can just stop you, hold you indefinitely, 5 to 8 years, and the magistrate is saying nothing on this? So when we talk about attacking the system, the processes that play part of an extrajudicial machinery, we've got to look at the magistrates, the judiciary, the prosecutors, and as well as the trigger man. The police is just a part, fraction of the whole. That's what I wanted to say, Mr. Kanaki. Thank you for allowing me the time to conclude my point. Thank you, sir.
Call you live. Good morning.
Good morning, Amsterdam. Yes, give me a minute. Let me reminisce for a little while, and I'll get to the point where I really call it. Yeah, 70 years ago, my father brought me to his mother's place. She lived in a Friendship Backdam area, I think, in a street that was named after her grandfather, Wilkins Street. And that's where I spent a few years of my childhood. Now, that's so many years ago, but I always felt a sense of belonging to that area, to that part of the world. I am nowhere close to there right now, but whenever I watch your show and I listen to you and I see your face, it gives me that connection back to that time and place. And if there is a place where I have this feeling that I belong to, it's in that region. one day you took your camera and you were going down. You took it down the Buxton Millwalk front, going out towards the seawall. And I was following you and reminiscing. Sometimes, my grandmother would take me in that area. And since then, I felt a connection to your show. And it gives me, because it brings back all these early memories of my time living in that part of the world. Now, I noticed online there is there's an incident where a youth was burnt on his body, and it mentioned Vigilance Police Station, and it reminded me of a few years ago where it brought back memories of a few years ago during the time of the PPP time, where another youth kind of suffered the same kind of incident, but he was burnt lower down in the regions under his waist and his genital area. And this brought back memories of perhaps this is like I've heard this before, and it happened at the Vigilance Station also. So am I the only one who brought back this incident brought back memories about? If yourself or anyone else remembered something like this, maybe someone did and could raise it, or someone suffered almost the same kind of injuries at that very police station.
Thank you, sir. I remember the incident at Leonora. I'm not sure about Vigilance. I will, of course, do my research. I don't let these things pass. All right? Thank you.
Yeah, we don't want to be wrong, sure, certainly.
Very well.
Or maybe yourself or someone else remembered.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Let me, there's some voice notes. Let me see if I can play them, and then I'll address a couple of issues.
Mr. Coffee did not realize that I think Mr. Coffee did not realize that two colors had two trials in the High Court before he got off.
Yes, sir.
He was in front of the court twice, where jurors brought him in guilty, hung jury. And I am not really addressing the caller that said Biden should look into. But if the Guyanese people are not doing anything for themselves, how would you like help? What help would you like after they are not doing anything for themselves? You call a protest, just a few. Some of them are bare commentators for Facebook. And with the Facebook issue, anything at all, they put you in jail. I tired with Facebook and commenting. Now I hardly commenting because every little thing, they throw you in jail. Jail time. I commented on Politics 101 that Inter Baniba Mekwashiba take notice. Next thing I'm in jail. Right now I'm limited from Mark Benchcraft's program with comments. Like it's midday comments, I cannot comment. Facebook is a pack of waste. And they know who they're working for because people been cussing up in Guyanese, been abusing Afro Guyanese with the nastiest set of words. And they're still there. Bye, and you have a good day. Good day, viewers.
Thank you for your voice note. Call your life. Thank you for holding.
Morning, Kadaki, and morning, Guyana. If we believe, and I really don't, Guyana is just a corrupt, racist, mafia-style country being run by Coli people. And if we believe it's going to get better, no, it's not. in my opinion, because the people have allowed the lawlessness, the corruptness to take place each and every day, turn their backs, and then they're going to act Biden administration. Biden administration need to do nothing. It's the people in Guyana need to do something. Look what Biden administration, who they're meeting with Saudi Arabia that killed that reporter. So think about that. But we warn the Biden administration that the Biden administration isn't going to do anything. The people needs to do something about it. The place is corrupt and have no way of turning back, basically. And that's what's going to keep going, because realistically, do we see anything changing? The small incremental things that happen is going to take hundreds of years while they get away with what they're getting away with. Murder, mayhem, stealing. And then we are going to accept small things that are happening as progress. But until the people, and especially the African people, sitting there on their behind in the church, waiting for Jesus, waiting for their white gods to help them. And they'll be burned for that, for waiting as opposed to taking what's theirs. And that's my take, just pissed off.
Thank you, caller. Vice note.
Caller, that incident happened at the Lenore police station and not vigilance.
All right, good. It's now 10 minutes to the 9 o'clock hour. Let me tell you something. I go with the last caller, who say Biden doesn't have to do a thing. In fact, yes, Biden doesn't have to do a thing, at least not from the inception. Coffee said, Coffee questioned how it is the police can keep people, rob people of their freedom for ever so long, and so on. Let me point out this. At the end of the day, all those of us who do not see the importance of protesting in one way, shape, or other. I keep saying protesting has its varying forms. But for the most part, when Guyanese talk about protests, we're talking about our numbers on the streets chanting down Babylon. But protest has its various forms. And until Guyanese make protest a staple, right? Until protest becomes a part of our DNA, we're not going to change the status quo. It's as simple as that. How it is the police can rob people of their freedom. Take, for example, this. And this is where education is important. Mr. Peter said to me yesterday, or he said to us yesterday, his son being arrested on Thursday, when he went on Friday or Saturday, he said to the policeman, 24 hours have passed. You need to release my child or charge. Policeman told him it is 72 hours. Now right there, I think I have a problem. Is it 72 hours or is it 24 hours? I think I've read somewhere that 72 hours has now been reduced to 24 hours. Right? And so immediately, in my mind, the police was being deceitful to the citizen. I want to believe he took advantage of what he might consider a citizen's ignorance of the law. That's one. Two, the poverty-stricken state we are in perhaps prevent us from doing a lot of things. Because had Mr. Peters turned up there with his lawyer, and the law says 24 hours, the policeman would not have told him it's 72. And so something would have had to be done, number one. Number two, more persons have to start to approach the courts to deal with these abuses, which a lot of people see as simple things. That is how the dictatorship starts. That is how the abuses start and get entrenched. Because people are leaving these quote-unquote small things. And so a police picks you up. They eventually charge you and put you before the court. And every time the court date comes up, they ask for a new date because the prosecutor is not available or the prosecutor is sick. These are all things that they make up. These are all things that they make up to rob the citizens of his or her freedom. And like Kofi's rightly saying, why is the magistrate not saying anything? The magistrate will argue that, look, tax and extension is in law, among other things. But if citizens were to go out in their thousands and chant down Babylon on these issues, then it will change. I guarantee it will change. And so for as long as we sit back and we accept these abuses, and we are not prepared to join our shoulders to the wheel and do something about it, we're going to continue to remain here. Look, for example, up until now, Mingo, Roxanne Myers, Lowenfield, a whole host of persons who were charged in a political circus. They haven't been having their day in court. Every time they go is an extension, for some reason or other. Right now, the Attorney General, every case that is before the court, election related, and now the Police Service Commission related and so on, every time they go before the court, there's a reason for him to ask for an extension. And the courts continue to grant it. If people were to put their shoulders to the wheel and go out there in the numbers, these cases would be hard. When the standoff in March of 2020, the PPP and all of their enablers were busy day in, day out, and courts were being held back to back. Weekends, all courts were being held. And as soon as the administration changed, court dates are given far wider and far, and citizens are accepting that. How do we expect to change the status quo? I will repeat to you here, they say speak ill not of the dead, but I will repeat to you here something dead and former Commissioner of Police Henry Green said to me. When my brother was murdered, he said to me, Mr. Amsterdam, you just give a statement saying it's Tom Jones. I said, well, Mr. Green, I didn't see the information I received. It is this person. He said, I don't care if you see, give the statement. We will arrest him. And by the time he gets the chance to prove in court that it wasn't him, if it wasn't him, he would have spent long enough to satisfy you. That is how broken the system is. Did I go along with that proposition? I know a lot of people are wondering no. Because like I said, I stand for law, not lawlessness. Everybody will pay for the crime at some point in time, whether at the hands of man or God. But we have a duty for as long as we have life and strength to challenge the status quo, which is abusing the citizens of this country. We have to. And I repeat, this is not an Indo-Guyanese and an Afro-Guyanese struggle. This is a Guyanese struggle. It is a Guyanese struggle. Because I will repeat, when one set of people feel oppressed enough and they decide to burst, because pressure has burst pipe, is everybody going to be consumed. All are involved, all are consumed. And so to save our nation, all of us must get involved in changing the system. All of us. You know why Sri Lanka could do it? Because they have black Sri Lankan and Chinese Sri Lankan and Portuguese Sri Lankan. They have no nation of 6 people. And until this nation of 6 people see it as important for all of us to come together, we ain't going to change it. We're going to continue to live in it and suffer in it. Call A Live. Call A Live. Good morning. Caller, you are live. Good morning. Not ready for us. And it is 3 minutes to the 9 o'clock hour. If there's one more voice note, I'll play it. Or if there's one more call, I'll take it. Rondalyn, why are you sending me a voice note? You had a chance on this program. No double dipping. You always behave like the PPP in government.
How could I sorry to be a double dipper?
where the last call I could remember early on in this same program, where the particular individual said he told his relatives to go vote for the coolie and don't give the black man your vote. Now he's always now on the other side talking against people who want to go and protest, people who want for this. I wonder if he does send his family to protest. I wonder. And when it comes to the thing with the youth sports and culture, what you said, that is indeed the fact. Because our house live in the village. He is trying to claim allegiance to youth sports and culture, to recruit the youths to join youth sports and culture operative, so that they now could be the weapons against the people in the village who are APNU supporters. Bye-bye.
Sometimes we fight one another when it's not necessary. That's all I see. It's now a minute to the 9 o'clock. Y'all have a good day. As of now, I am still celebrating my birthday. Remember, I celebrate my birthday for the entire month of July. Tomorrow is the official day. Don't ask me what I'm doing. Some people have been asking, what are you doing for your birthday? And so, I really, honestly, truly don't know what I'm doing for my birthday. I'm not the planning type when it comes to that. But remember, I said at the end of the month, at the end of July, around the 30th, we're going to have a big get-together, I hope. Not only to celebrate my birthday, if you want to call it that, but more so to celebrate the anniversary of CAMS TV. Because we have been doing a good job, and we will continue to do a good job, and by God's grace, we're going to shake the foundations of this wicked administration and bring more knowledge to people and more awakening, and so that people can really stand up for what they truly believe in. Call it live, final one.
Hey, good morning, Kadaki and fellow soldiers in the struggle. I just wanted to give my support to all the people in the East Coast that decided to stand up for their rights. It is said that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. This is a great first step that started on the East Coast. I'm hoping that the opposition leader, Martin, I'm hoping that the opposition leaders who are in Parliament wasting time because they have no voting power would get out there and help mobilize the people all across Guyana, mobilize the people in Georgetown, mobilize the people in Linden, the people in Berbice, all over, to make this, to ride the wave of this this momentum that started on the East Coast. And join this fight. We must move this protest action to disrupt commerce. We gotta break. We gotta get people involved. We gotta make sure that we are making a serious impact. It mustn't be business as usual. The same thing that Jabio threatened to do if he didn't get his way. Why are we doing any less? It's time we get serious. And pertaining to this extrajudicial killing, I mean, we can't tolerate this foolishness any longer. That's all the more reason why I expect to see many more people out there on the streets protesting. That's the only way that change will come. We can't just complain, but we gotta do. We gotta get out there and mobilize and take serious action. We can't tolerate that. Indian police who was involved in the shooting at Bacchus must be charged. And he must be charged forthright. We can't tolerate this foolishness anymore. People got to get serious. That's all for now, Kadaki. You enjoy the rest of your day. Keep doing what you're doing. It's a fantastic program. And I hope to see many more viewers, many more people tuning in, and to make this thing even bigger. Thank you.
Thank you for your call. And thank you all for tuning in. Remember, start migrating to YouTube. We don't know. I will send that appeal to Facebook. Hopefully they wake up and say, voila, we recognize it's not true. But let's migrate to YouTube so we can start doing things over there. And I was told to do an Instagram account and so on. And honestly, I am technologically lazy. I won't believe it. But I try to get some stuff done just in case we have to resort to any of those. Right? Have a good day, y'all. Goodbye.